Hey guys, welcome to WDWNT Nerd Alert. I'm your host, Joe Hogarty, and joining me tonight is Jack McCarthy
Howdy, folks.
and Taylor Katcher.
Hey there.
So on tonight's show, what we're going to do is we're going to have some of our favorite comic book characters go against each other. Recently, the Godzilla versus Kong trailer came out, and that kind of sparked our interest as to what we would like to see, who we'd like to see go toe-to-toe with each other and beat the hell out of each other on the big screen. Some of it might happen. Some of it is just fantasy, but we think we have some pretty good picks. Anyway, we're also going to go over WandaVision, and we will discuss the latest news and answer the latest listener email. So, guys, what have you been up to lately?
Lately, I finished a puzzle. Actually, that's probably the biggest thing I've been doing lately. Is I finished a puzzle of Die Hard. So, is it okay if I show you guys?
Yeah, let's see it.
Okay.
You'd say things as he's walking away. Oh, and you framed it.
And I framed it because it's just a pain in the butt to put together. I never want to do it again. So, this is a Die Hard. Oh man, you can see my ring light in the background.
I can see your ring light, yeah.
But what's cool about it is it's every single scene from the movie.
That's pretty cool.
And like they're doing, you can even see Hans Gruber falling from Nakatomi Tower there and then pushing him out. It's just hard. There's reflections, but it's really fun. 1,000-piece puzzle. And I'm excited to get it framed. The one piece missing is the frame was slightly too big, so I need to get a white paper to put behind it on the sides there. But
I forgot like all the characters' names in it. But
there's Marco,
does it show like when that guy with the beard gets killed? He pretends to be the boss of Nakatomi Plaza.
Oh yeah, it definitely shows Ellis getting murdered.
Ellis.
Hans Booby, that guy, yeah, he's getting murdered right there. That's him dead. And then so basically, this is Mr. Takagi getting murdered there. This is when John McClane's under the table and shoots that guy through the table. Here's Han and John smoking cigarettes together when he was pretending to be an American. Here's both versions of him, like, now I know what a TV dinner feels like. And this is him coming down, in the shaft. And then there's the ho ho ho, now I have a machine gun guy dead down here.
What's all the way to the left?
Down here?
No, your other left. It's underneath the E in Die Hard.
Oh, that's the guy with the rocket launcher shooting it at the LAPD tank.
Oh, that's cool.
Down there. And
do they have the helicopter up top?
Yep, the helicopter is up top right here when he's like, "Hey, this is just like Nam," and he's like, "I was in elementary school, bleep bleep." So it was great. And then here's on the roof when he's shooting up there and he's saying like, "Get off the roof." And then here's the guy, and there's his little candy bar. Actually, it's the guy that stole the candy bar when he was, eating down
candy
there.
Bar.
And then this is John jumping off the roof.
Oh, and he's got the fire hose?
Yep, and this is John running across all the glass. Shoot the glass. And this is him when he's talking to the cop guy, and he's like, "Tell my wife I'm sorry. Just tell her I'm sorry, if I don't make it out of this." And he's like, "Hey, don't speak like that. You'll make it out of this alive." And
That's
then
pretty cool.
Yes, him,
how many pieces was that?
1,000 pieces.
So, that's pretty nice.
That is cool, though.
It took me a couple weeks. I even got I got this for Christmas to help me finish it. It's a sort and go puzzle kit, and they're stackable, like puzzle looking pieces that you can put your different colors in. So,
really?
That would make me insane.
It was very helpful because near the end there, all of the words Die Hard on that and like the purples on the side were just, once you finished like the little cute character parts, everything else was kind of a nightmare. Because it was all cool, very similar color.
I know you like to do puzzles, so that's pretty cool too.
Usually I don't, though. That's the thing, is I don't like puzzles, but I love Die Hard, and I wanted this art print, and then it went out of stock, and the only way to get the art print was a puzzle. So my puzzles are Legos. I feel like Legos for me are that same.
I guess that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, that same feel of the time of just taking doing your thing and building it. It's like, I guess, like Jack's models, I guess, or the fancier Lego, really. And so, yeah, it was great, though. Put it together. And it was probably, it feels like an accomplishment because it was in the butt.
Cool.
But This is made by 100 Soft. He's they're if you look most hashtags on Twitter that have like a cute thing, especially for all Marvel properties,
Mhm.
like if you put in hashtag WandaVision or hashtag Vision, hashtag Wanda, a little 100 Soft emoji guy person pops up. So they're they're a pretty popular internet artist, and it was just really cool to have that puzzle.
Oh, cool. What about you, Jack?
Well, I've started my next model, so I've been working on that. Not ready to show anything because it's all in pieces, but it's the Bandai X-Wing Kit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty nice. The detail on these things is just phenomenal. I mean, it's I'll have pictures posted eventually, but it's a little crazy. Let's see. And over here, my wife was watching the video when I was going through it, and she's like, Taylor's got all that cool stuff, and you have nothing behind you. So this is my creation for the show, the Wall of Pop. My son decided I needed the Fantastic Four pops when they released them.
That makes sense.
So that's all the Fantastic Four pops plus a couple of extras because.
Oh, really? You see that guy that's all the way in the top to the left? I thought that was the Nintendo character. You know what I'm talking about, Taylor?
Herbie.
You mean Rob the robot?
Yeah.
Herbie bot.
Well,
yeah.
now that you said it was Fantastic Four, yeah, I see it's Herbie. But from my point of view, I thought it was the Nintendo guy. But,
well, from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
But yeah, I mean, there were so many characters introduced in the FF that really, even though they released the initial group of I think of 12, there's so many other characters that really fit in there. You have the Submariner, which I picked him up. He's over in the corner there.
Okay, I see him.
Because he came back in the FF after being gone since the 40s. So he came back in the FF, and he was like in every fourth issue when they were starting out. They'd always fight the Submariner and Doctor Doom time and time again. So he's really an FF character. I had a scroll from Captain Marvel because scrolls are Fantastic Four villains initially. Mm-hmm. There's some other ones. And look, I have to get a Black Panther as well because he also debuted in the book.
Yeah.
But I'm looking for like the comic Black Panther, not the MCU one. Mm-hmm. So needless to say, yeah, he started me on the pop collecting.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep. So that's what's behind me tonight.
I have a lot of pops as well, but they're all out of their boxes.
Well, I remember Patrick Hackett had a ton of pops. He's got to have at least 500 by now.
Oh yeah,
probably more than that because when he was on the show, he had like 450. So I'm thinking about 800.
Oh my gosh. Well, I haven't made a shelf or something to put them up, so that's why they're still boxed. But
makes sense.
I agree, Taylor.
Play with your toys.
Play with your toys. Don't leave them in a box. Have some fun with them.
Yeah, I got the they made Ahsoka Tano and Darth Maul recently with like the metal legs from Clone Wars, so I bought those Funkos, and they're by my lightsabers behind me. And I was just
really? They had the metal legs?
Yeah, so I was really excited to see that.
Oh boy. So as you can see behind me, I got rid of the picture I had of the plant because I got some complaints that I have like Jack. We're not Taylor. So I was trying to look for
the
posters.
bar, my friend.
I mean, you guys have all this stuff. You just didn't have it behind you. Like there's. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is my kitchen. What is that where you are, Jack? Is that your living room or your den?
This is the family room.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
that's your office.
We have that. We have.
This is
my son's stormtrooper blanket thrown over the smaller couch back there. You can see kind of some of his Legos up around there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a Star Wars blanket. It's pretty cool.
Me too.
Here in Florida.
I have 2 Star Wars blankets.
Yeah, so I mean, this is it. But I'm in negotiations to broadcast from my Fortress of Nerditude upstairs.
That's huge.
Yes, but we'll see. The thing is, the most comfortable chair in the house is my reading chair in that room.
Does it squeak?
Since Lynette had back surgery, she's been sleeping in that chair
Mm.
Oh wow. So, really?
Well, it's a
Still.
recliner that's about this wide, you
Mm.
know, and it is a good chair, which is why I initially got it. But I've been evicted from my fortress, and we broadcast too late. So
Yeah, behind me, I've had this poster for a while. That's Mullet Superman when he came back after the death of Superman. And that is such a hot Lois Lane. You really can't see her, but it's like for a change, she's very, very attractive. She's,
for a change,
yes, for a change. I mean, if I'm looking at the movies, I'm talking about for a change. But that's all I kind of had. I looked at other posters and I want to get some more. If anyone has any suggestions, let me know. I know Taylor had mentioned Alex Ross. That's actually very good. I need to look more into Alex Ross. I looked at some of his Marvel stuff, and they had this Spider-Man one with the camera from Marvel's, and I'm just not a huge fan of that. And then there were just a couple. I'll get some eventually.
well, he's been doing so many Marvel covers lately.
Yeah, there's some
You can
really good.
find a
The
lot of
Hulk,
those
right?
covers online.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen them too. Like, yeah, I'm so glad that he's, hooking up with Marvel again, just to see him doing everything. Like I
But
saw him do
he
Scarlet
must
Witch.
crank these out though.
Yeah, I don't know how he
Like
does it.
he's got like 3 or 4 covers a month, and they're good. They're not just like a quick shot of somebody static. No, they're all action with scenery, everything. They're wild.
Yeah, even if the story sucks, it's worth it just to get the cover. I would say he is an amazing artist. Like the only time I can remember was Kingdom Come in Marvels is when he
Did full
did a full
books.
story. Yeah, and he
I think
did a
the
couple of things for DC.
Yeah, and I think those are the 2 full books that I remember. I mean, there was actually some of yeah, no, those were the 2. I was about to say, well, there's some like Thy Kingdom Come, but that's just an offshoot of Kingdom Come with the Justice Society. So, and the inside art was not like the Alex Ross stuff.
Yeah. But since I've got my 4K TV and my new surround sound system, my new receiver, and my lighting and all that, I've been watching a lot of movies. I watched the Matrix trilogy recently
Cool.
and had fun with that.
How were the second 2?
Well, the first one's a classic. You
Right.
can't deny. I mean, that's just like almost the perfect film. The second one was okay because the action scenes were incredible in the second one. It's hard to compare against the first one. It just goes downhill from the first one, but it's still worth it to watch the second one because you see such incredible action. And when you think about it, like that scene on the freeway, that stuff is mostly all filmed, you know, on the freeway. It's just amazing, and CGI was just coming into play at that point in a way, but a lot of that stuff was practical effects, and it just blows your mind. And then there's the third one. The problem with the third one is that they introduced new characters like what's his name? The new pilot's white girlfriend and stuff like that. Twitch, no, not Twitch. I forget his name. Link, and who cares about her? It's like again, when it's almost like what they did with Star Wars. Don't introduce new characters as you're wrapping up the series. And then they had Naomi piloting the ship. Yeah, she's a good pilot, but we don't need to see all that stuff. We're mostly interested in Neo, Morpheus, and Trinity. We just want to see that in the last one, and we want to see Mr. Smith and stuff like that, and just get everything wrapped up. The other problem too was the actress that played the Oracle had passed away, and she was replaced with somebody that was actually very good friends with her and acted in a play on Broadway with her. She actually played her sister, so she was replaced, and it's still just something doesn't feel right. I think the other actress was just a lot more natural and better.
Recently, I've been reading The Matrix came up trending because the creators of The Matrix are trans, and basically the story of The Matrix is a trans allegory of like choosing your own name and, becoming, a different person, or who you are inside, I guess, is more realistic. And so I thought that was a really cool take. And there's lots of stuff out there if you want to read about it, but it's pretty cool that, the Wachowskis at the time, were probably dealing with a lot of these emotions and all these feelings, and they put it into this amazing sci-fi movie that was a huge blockbuster. But along the line, if you dive deeper into it, it's talking about kind of their struggle, and their transition into the Wachowski sisters from the Wachowski brothers. And so I think that's a really cool thing to, if you rewatch it, think about that while you're watching it. And for our listeners, just because it's a very interesting take, and true from them, they've talked about it, but really cool that something that, I don't know, that pop media explosive can be something about, issues that people are still doubting or dealing with today. So
Well, what was interesting that I read about that too was, I forget the name of the character in the first one. She had blonde hair. She was part of the group. She was one of the first ones.
She went, not like this, not like this.
Yeah, she was like the first one to get killed off. She like wore a white outfit. So originally the plan was she was supposed to be a male in the real world, and she was a female in the Matrix. But again, back then,
they couldn't have done that back then.
Too taboo back then. But I thought that would have been interesting if they
that would have been great
that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forget her name, but even her name kind of alludes to something like that, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into the news. So Black Widow is still standing firm and will not be heading to Disney Plus before it premieres in theaters. And again, we're kind of looking at possibly November, December, January. It's all right. What do you guys think? I just put it out there. What do you think about all this?
Jack, you first.
Well, I was kind of hoping it would come to Disney Plus. I sort of liked, considering the environment we're in, not having to go to the theater. The fact that it would be available at home, albeit at a increased price, it's still, if you're going to go out to movies with your family, it costs about the same. So I was looking forward to it coming out on Disney Plus. But if it's going to the theater, that's great. But I don't know if we'll get to the theater.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's funny because I saw that The Last Dragon, is that what's
Raha, and I think it's Raha and the Dragon.
Raha. It looks great. That I'm really excited about that. And it's coming to Disney Plus, but with the premium payment thing. And someone said, well, how can they go back to that after they gave it for free? And I was like, well, the Christmas play was one to beat DC, Warner Brothers, because they were going to put out Wonder Woman and gain just a bunch of subscribers at Christmas, and then take the subscribers, then charge them $30. Like, it was really, a 1-2 punch of like, get more subscribers, then get those subscribers to spend $30 on this movie. And so I was hoping that with the news that that's coming to Disney Plus, that they would give us Black Widow as well. But they must be really, really saying like, oh, we'll put our cartoons and our animated features on Disney Plus and we'll let you buy it. I guess, well, Mulan wasn't, but I don't know. It seems like a weird line in the sand that I would much prefer to watch it at home, and I would easily pay them $30 for it.
Well, that's just it. I think that the problem is in the environment that we live in with COVID, it's going to be a while before we're going to comfortably go back to theaters. Right. Even if at some point during this year, if most people get the vaccine and all that, people are still going to be leery about certain things like going back to the gym, even going to theme parks and stuff like that. But, theaters it's going to be rough. But I think that what's going to happen, and I think they're doing it now, is they sanitize things very, very well. If you do go to a theater, and there's social distancing in theaters and stuff like that. But those theaters definitely need movies because they are dying, and I don't know how they can survive without movies. But I think that the big issue, like for companies like Disney and Warner Brothers or whoever, is that they know, like, if they would have released, like specifically Tenet came out recently, and if there was no COVID or anything like that, and it was released, it made $361 $1 million in the theater. It was basically limited because a lot of theaters were closed. It was released worldwide and in the United States, but again, it didn't have as many showings. And when theaters do show them, there's only a limit to how many people they can have at the theater at the time.
Right.
So if COVID didn't exist, that thing could have made potentially like $1 billion.
Maybe, but also it wasn't great. So word of mouth might have shut it down. I mean, I'm sure opening weekend it would have made $1 million or $1 billion. Opening weekend it would have made a ton of money. So I just don't know if it would have had the theater longevity that it was hoping for, because one, it's really hard to hear. So subtitles made that movie way more enjoyable.
Oh, really?
Everyone's voice, like the mix on that, like the sound is awesome, but you can't hear what people are saying. And the problem with that movie that I had was that everything everyone was saying was exposition. So unless you heard what they were saying, you really didn't understand the timey-wimey stuff that was going on or what their goals were, and there was really no character arcs, because everything everyone said was explaining the next step. It was, kind of like those moments in Inception where they're kind of explaining what they're doing, but the whole movie was them explaining, because it was just so confusing. Great though. I mean, it was fun, worth a watch, but I mean, I bought it when it came out because, again, I'm doing theater at home myself, right? I'll pay $30 on Vudu and then have it at home. I did end up buying it on disc though, because I want to see whatever aspect ratios Christopher Nolan had planned, because I love that stuff. But
well, they had said too, Wonder Woman 1984 came out Christmas Day, wasn't it? I think so, right?
Yep, same day as Soul.
That really didn't do that well.
They said it got a lot of subscriptions for them.
Yeah, but you got to ask yourself though, how is that really helping them in the long run though? I mean, how do they measure that too? That you're subscribing specifically to watch Wonder Woman 1984 and you're not just subscribing just because you want to see the other movies that are out there.
They would probably do it the same way that you would attribute, I don't know. I mean, I work in advertising. So let's say that you're trying to attribute your, your TV ads or even your YouTube ads to your sales. And so you can track metrics of, like, basically you give yourself a window and say, okay, well, this comes out here. So for Wonder Woman, I would say if someone subscribed in that week, Christmas week or the week after, or the entire month where it's available, maybe you have to pick a time and say, all subscribers, we're going to say Wonder Woman 84 contributed to them signing up for HBO Max. And we're going to take those numbers and we're going to say, okay, how many new subscribers? If there was a spike, there has to be a reason for a spike. Like, especially if it was on Christmas Day or Christmas Eve. Like, I would say definitely Christmas Day, Christmas Eve is how they counted it, because they're like, how many people subscribed ahead of time to get ahead of it? How many people downloaded the app? All these things. And they're doing their best to attribute those users, those visitors to this movie, because that's as good as they got. And then they can also see what you watch too. So maybe there's a lot of that too. They can literally say, okay, here's all of our data. Who watched Wonder Woman? Who signed up? What percentage of those people that signed up watch Wonder Woman? Oh, 100%, 80%. Then we take those 80% and we take that about the numbers. And that's probably how that's actually the real answer. I forgot that you can literally just say, how many people watch this? Because I do it with Netflix all the time. So.
Well, insiders are saying it really didn't do as well as what Warner Brothers is saying. And I think that's what's causing a lot of companies to have second thoughts about doing something like that with streaming.
Well, they made a bad movie though. That's different.
I don't know.
It's kind of like Mulan. It's like, I wouldn't say Mulan is a good range of how many people are willing to buy that, because I mean, people did because they didn't know, but as soon as they found out, lots of people just waited or had their friends buy it.
No, that's a good point.
And I think that
until it came out in a few months.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens. I mean, even I hope that the new Raja or what, The Last Dragon is the part I remember. I hope that movie's great, because that will tell us the most.
I didn't like the recent trailer.
Dragon, I keep thinking of that movie from the 80s.
It's very, it's
the
Bruce Lee movie. But the only way to really know is to put something actually like Black Widow, an MCU movie that odds are good it's at least an 8 out of 10, on average. So give me a good movie and put it out there, and that's what I want to see. I want to test it with some high quality stuff.
I think it's an extreme risk though what they're doing though, because when you think about it, Black Widow was supposed to come out in May of
Of
last
last
year.
year. Yeah.
And they keep waiting and waiting and waiting. So it's going to be 2 years, right? Like if it doesn't come out this May and it comes out January or February next year, that's going to be 2 years. And you got to wonder, like, our audience is going to lose interest in it, knowing that this is kind of an old movie, in a way.
I don't. It's, even though it's an old movie, it's in the can. It's not like it's been released or hyped up, because let's face it, the whole world is on hold still. And once it opens up, though, I mean, and we start getting back to normal, it'll take off. I don't think it's going to be looked at as an old movie, because let's face it, the MCU has been pretty consistent in quality. And some of those movies still hold up very well.
I still
you
think,
look at the early Marvel ones, and they still look good. They're still good movies.
But I'm still not. Even when that was coming out before COVID, I wasn't excited about it like I was, like, for Avengers or Thor Ragnarok or even Captain Marvel. I was excited about this one. It's like I really can care less about the Black Widow.
Well,
I care about Taskmaster and the Black Widow, so I'm looking forward to this.
I'm looking forward to it too, even though I'm looking forward to it more like Ant-Man than the Avengers.
I love it.
Yeah, I could see that.
Analogy, Joe?
Yes, that's
Like,
a very good analogy. I agree with you.
Let's face it, it's kind of hard to top, the Avengers. Like they said in the second movie, it's like, send out more troops. It's the Avengers, like, that's box office printing money. But I'm looking forward to it like I would in Ant-Man. I enjoyed both Ant-Man movies very much, and I'm hoping the third one is coming along. But, it's kind of tough to compare to an Avengers movie.
Yeah. Anywho, Thor: Love and Thunder starts filming this week in Australia.
Yes.
And Chris Hemsworth is on board. So most of the Guardians are coming back. You got Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Pom Clemente, who played Mantis, Karen Gillan,
Dave Bautista showed up on set today.
Yeah, they're all on set. Well, we don't know if they're gonna have major roles. I mean, again, Thor is on the ship with them, so maybe they're just dropping him off or whatever. They've had enough of him. Hopefully, he's got a good body this time. That doesn't have the beer belly, and then he's back in shape. But who else? Oh, Jamie Alexander is returning as Sif.
Cool. Sif is coming back. That's great.
So
Love Jamie Alexander.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. I mean, she has to be in it. Natalie Portman. I haven't heard anything yet on her, but should be interesting. And yeah, who else is in that? The Dark Knight.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Can't think of his name.
He's the villain. I forget who they said the villain was going to be.
I forget his name. He's a
really
time
cool guy, though.
dude. We were talking about him.
Yeah, we talked all about it.
He manipulates time and stuff like that.
No, it's not. You're thinking of.
But Jack had mentioned him a while.
Yeah,
I can't
he has
think
like a. He's like a. He
of it.
was
Oh,
like a
was
green
it
guy.
not Korg? Is it Kang? Yeah, I think it's Kang, right?
I don't think they're talking about Kang as the next, build-up villain like Thanos.
Taylor's looking it up.
Yeah,
I forget who he's supposed to be playing. Except he's playing the villain.
Yeah,
He's
rather see
playing
him-
Gore, the
Ah,
god.
Oh, that's right, the God Killer. Okay.
There it is.
Damn it! I knew it was a
Joe.
word
You
like
said
that.
core.
Yeah. Well, Kang, Gore, Core, whatever the frick. Close enough. Also, James Gunn has been consulting with Taiki Waititi for the movie too.
Taika Waititi.
Yeah, I'll get that name right eventually. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm starting to look forward to that one. I would say probably out of all of them, Eternals, not feeling it for Black Widow, or was it Shang-Chi?
I'm excited about Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi
And
should be good. The Eternals, I mean, I went and started digging through stuff, and I tracked down some of their comics, and I just can't get excited about these guys.
yeah, I think they're doing the same thing that they did with Guardians. They think that lightning's going to strike twice, like where they're like,
But Guardians, I mean, I think that has like they had good content.
well, that's
before.
just it. Like I think that Marvel is getting ahead of itself. Like what we'll talk with when we talk about WandaVision, like where they feel that if they stamp anything on Marvel, people will just love it regardless, and that'll make money. So I think that they need to be careful about that. Anyway, I had sent you guys a video, and I think you had seen it, that there's a Marvel is coming out with a series called Heroes Reborn.
Yes, I didn't get a chance
Yeah,
to.
it's kind of weird, I guess.
Say that again, Jack.
It just sounds kind of weird. The first time they did it, it was part of a big event. The Heroes Return. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know how they could do it again, and I don't know.
Wasn't Heroes Reborn like when Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld had come back to Marvel, and they did their versions of Fantastic Four and Iron Man?
They were given like, hey, you know what? Take these characters, update it, and they had varying levels of success with it. Some things worked, some things didn't. But then eventually you knew they were all going to come back to the proper MCU. The better follow-up, I think, to that whole Heroes Reborn concept was the Ultimate Universe at Marvel.
That makes sense.
They brought these characters, reintroduced them as new characters, same names, same costumes, but they were very, very different. And that worked for a long time. A lot of people liked the Ultimate Universe. I don't kind of know why they got rid of it, but
they got rid of it so they could do it again. What they're doing right now, right?
Well, I guess. But yeah, I don't see the reasoning for this return. I mean, let's face it, we haven't seen an exodus of talent like we did back when Jim Lee, Liefeld, who else? McFarlane, when they all left. We haven't seen an exodus like that. The circumstances are just completely different. That no one left and came back for this. So I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't understand what's going on over at DC either with this future
State looks
like
cool. I'm excited. Future State's interesting because it gives them a chance to basically create a brand new Batman Beyond universe, which seems like kind of what they're doing. They're kind of allowing themselves to have what would the future of the DC comics look like if we were allowed to get rid of or do something with these characters that we're probably never able to get rid of, right? So I'm looking forward to that. Although I'm still trying to get caught up. So I'm buying lots of those first issues, but I need to finish Death Metal before I get to that, and I'm still rereading Metal then finally get to reread Rebirth and then Doomsday Clock, so I can get caught up. But it's a lot.
It's finished. You can
yeah. As I was waiting, I got the collection. I was like, now I can read this in a nice big book. But Heroes Reborn is really exciting for me. That's what gets me to buy that. That's going to get me to buy some Marvel comics. Is maybe not first issues because I'm from a comic book collecting standpoint, I'm more prone to buying some first issues of DC comics because I know the characters a little bit better. But from a volume perspective, if they're going to be like, here's all these characters, what's going on in a way that like Secret Wars kind of did, I buy the big events when it comes to Marvel, Civil War 2, all that kind of stuff. So when Joe sent that over, I watched it and I'm pretty excited about that as a concept. So to see like, all the heroes that you knew are alive, but they're not heroes. Let's see what happens if there's that gap in superpower.
Well, it'd be cool if some new characters emerge as really good contenders for, prominent Marvel characters. Cause like we haven't seen that in a while. I mean, I'm thinking when I think back, maybe Spider-Gwen.
Yeah. But I mean, let's think about if you're Marvel and you're trying to create Marvel Phase 6 and these actors that are playing Iron Man and Captain America and and Captain Marvel and the Hulk are all going to eventually get to a point where they're, you know, they don't want to do it anymore. And then instead of recasting them, you could say, aha, all these new characters that people love, we're just going to cast them as these actors 5 years later. And there you go. So it's also, I mean, for them, it's a cyclical kind of, it's a way to create new characters that people like that they can put in the movies without people getting upset that they're recasting Iron Man or using a character that people didn't enjoy as much, something, you know, like, you know, whether it's, you know, Sam Wilson as Captain America or Bucky or something like that. People are just like, no, give me Steve Rogers. It's like, well, let's just make new characters so we don't have to deal with that.
Yeah. So did you guys watch the Godzilla versus Kong trailer?
I did.
It looks insane.
How did that monkey get so big?
And well, that's part of it, yeah.
I seriously think they shrunk Godzilla, because when you look at the size of that little girl when she goes up to his finger,
that was King Kong's right?
He doesn't look like he got that much bigger from the previous movie.
I mean, people said that he was kind of a teenager or something in the last movie, and then he's finally like full size now, and that's how they're explaining how he went from like what would fit on a baby carriage to Godzilla to like being the size of Godzilla. So, I mean, I want to watch those two, and you know it's gonna be like Batman versus Superman, so you know that they're gonna fighting something else.
Yeah, I was gonna say that exactly the same thing. It's that's why I'm not looking forward to it, because it's gonna be just like Batman versus Superman, where they're gonna fight each other first on the aircraft carrier,
and then one of them's mom's gonna be Martha.
But that's what we're saying. I don't see how Godzilla could fit on an aircraft carrier.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Godzilla is
too big.
Aircraft carriers are huge, but
that's why I think he shrunk. Maybe shrinks in water.
Maybe.
But people did see Mechagodzilla in plans in the background of some scenes, so cool.
Well, that's what annoys me again, is that they're going to be friends. And I don't like the fact that these monsters they're
both protectors of Earth, man.
But that's crap, though. I mean,
well,
Kong has become so demasculized, you know.
Okay.
He has. I mean, the original King Kong, he was a monster. You know, they used to sacrifice girls to him and stuff like that. You're never going to see that anymore. Now, you know, after Brie Larson had her deal with it.
I really liked Kong Skull Island, so you can hate on that movie all you want. I thought the movie was great.
All of those
Jackson said, "Hold on to your butts," which was pretty much worth price of admission there. John C. Reilly was stellar in that movie.
I don't even remember him being in that movie. I just remember
John C. Reilly
being in there. Yeah, that's it.
He was like because like supposed to be like the Bermuda Triangle. He was like,
oh, that's right. Yeah. He was kind of like
all like bearded and kind of goofy. It was awesome.
He was like the guy from Treasure Island, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Robinson Crusoe, kind of like living off the land, understanding everything that's going on. It was cool.
No, you remember the guy from Treasure Island that knew where the gold was or the treasure was and stuff like that. And he went crazy. No, he liked cheese. He was crazy. He was marooned on the island. I forget what his name was, but yeah, I just think these movies suck.
That last Godzilla movie was bad.
Yeah, what sucks is the stories. We want to see Kong and Godzilla. We don't want to see the human element in this, because I mean, I know they have to do that. They did that with the old movies too, and like the Japanese ones. But
like the little girls with the Mothra.
Yeah, they were
carrying around a little box.
I have a really cool Mothra shirt with those two little girls on it.
And I was thinking about it too, because like I watched the original King Kong versus Godzilla, and I loved it as a kid. But I think as an adult, if I watched it now for the first time, oh yeah, because it's just like you never saw anything like that before. Again, that was like a precursor to the Avengers, where you got like two characters from two different universes coming together on the same screen. You never thought that was going to happen before, you know? So that was
much more fondly than I do.
Well, I just know that I think they used to be on Thanksgiving or Christmas Day or something like that. And, you know, me and my cousin used to watch it, and we used to get such a kick out of it. But as an adult, if I was to review that now, I'd hate it. Like, I hate these movies. It's like, I guess in a way, you know, they are for kids. It's like when when kids watch the trailer for this new one, they're just can't wait to see it. But
I feel like they are, but they aren't, right? That first Godzilla movie was so much romance drama between Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, because they were married in that movie the same summer that Avengers 2 came out. They were brother and sister in one and a married couple in the other. And it hardly had any Godzilla in it. And you were like, where's the Godzilla? There's too much love story in here. But then the newest Godzilla, it was all monster fights, and somehow it was still so boring. Like, I can't.
Really? I loved it.
I thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen, and it was everything I thought I wanted. I just don't understand. Like, I was like, wow, all I want is Godzilla fighting every one of his rogues and then Mothra helping out. That's actually what it was, but it was somehow terrible.
Well, it's again because the human element.
I don't know. I thought that was a lot of fun.
If they would have cut out all of the human element out of that and it stitched, I guess, just the monsters into one movie, I'd watch that over and over again.
Maybe, I don't know. You probably are right, and maybe I should rewatch it thinking about that, because I was so disappointed after seeing that movie, because there was every monster fight I wanted. It was kaiju fighting kaiju.
At home?
Yeah.
I saw it at home, but I still
that might be part of it. It was definitely a big screen movie. And
I saw
a big screen movie. You sit up close, so this way it's like, oh my God, look at that,
Mm-hmm.
I saw it in the theaters, Taylor. It still sucked in the theaters.
Oh no,
there's only a few movies that Joe and I agree on. This is one of them. So mark it down in your tally marks.
You have to remember that. When we say Wonder Woman 1984 sucked, it sucked.
We both agreed there.
Yeah.
It wasn't
so.
that bad.
See,
calm down.
It wasn't that good, but it wasn't that bad.
All right, last story, which I should have included up in the first one, but apparently Christopher Nolan and Warner Brothers might be separating because he's not too happy with what
HBO
Warner Brothers
Max
did with HBO Max, like releasing all their movies. Because it is hurting the production companies that are co-producing these companies that aren't Warner Brothers, and also directors like himself and the actors that get profits off the back end of the movie being in theaters. But we won't get into this long because we did before. What else are they going to do?
Mm-hmm.
They can't hold all these movies out forever because they're optimistic, I guess, Christopher Nolan and some other people that, and like Black Widow, in 6 months, everybody will be back in the theaters, but we don't know that.
That's what they said last March.
Exactly. Yeah. It could be a couple of years before that happens. So the good thing though is, come over to Marvel, Christopher Nolan. I would love that for sure.
Did you also see the news today? This is news.
I don't know if he'd be a good fit in the MCU.
Yes, he would.
No, it's
too heavy. Marvel is light and fun. I don't think he'd be a good fit.
He'd do a Punisher movie.
Okay, sure, but I don't know. It would seem too much like the show. He's so intent on being real with his characters that only someone who actually, Frank Castle's probably the only character I could think of. You're right, in the MC or the Marvel universe that he could do well, because fantastic is not his MO. He's not really into that. He doesn't do Lazarus Pits. He does very, Batman was as grounded as he possibly could be. And even his villains were grounded as well. Scarecrow was probably the most fantastical of all of them, and even then he was,
I was watching The Dark Knight the other day, and I was like, "Oh man, I love this movie."
Oh no, it's great. I'm not.
Dark Knight was so good.
I'm not trying to. Batman Begins is my favorite of the three, but I still think that the third one, not great. I'm still hoping that somebody just takes Joseph Gordon-Levitt and puts him into a new movie and calls him Tim Drake, just for me. Because John Blake is not that character's name. Chris, I know you're listening. So,
isn't his name Robin?
Oh my gosh, I can't believe they made his first name Robin. Ugh, I forgot about that part. Thanks, Joe. I was like, I was just still upset about the John Blake part. I forgot it was Robin John Blake, even worse. It's such a cute name. You should use that. News I saw today. Ryan Reynolds said before Marvel bought Fox on Twitter that it was going to be a road trip movie. There's a famous Kurosawa movie of two samurai going together on a journey. I can't remember the name of that, but it was supposed to be him and Logan, Deadpool and Logan on a road trip together across country.
Oh,
So
that would've been
I
cool.
assume it would have been much closer to Old Man Logan the way they
Mm.
did with Hawkeye. But it is now going to be something different now that they own it. So
I think I kind of skimmed it, but I think that the UK version of Disney Plus might be getting Deadpool.
I still think that the easy way around all of this worry is just put a parental system
Yeah.
into Disney Plus and saying like, oh, this profile can only see PG-13 and under, and then this profile can see whatever.
No,
Because
yeah, they should.
the Fox X-Men movies are on there now. So
Yeah, but they're not the R-rated ones.
well,
They just,
yeah,
you know,
I'm with you there. I'm just saying, like, Logan and Deadpool are not there, but all the other ones are.
I'd like to see them on there. But I mean, hopefully they'll follow your lead and they do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. So everybody listening, we recorded this on Thursday, so we don't get to see WandaVision, when you are listening to this or watching this. So we're up to episode number 3 of WandaVision. So what do you guys think of the latest episode of WandaVision?
Jack?
Keller, you go first.
Oh, thanks. So far, probably my least favorite of the 3, to be fair.
Wow.
But they had so many shifting aspect ratios that you guys, incredible. Just everything was moving all over the place for me in like different aspects. I was just very excited, especially at the end when it went to like 16:9. It was just, that's my favorite stuff. I can't stop talking about shifting aspect ratios and movies and stuff. But it was a lot of I've never been a Brady Bunch kind of that era of TV fan. So I think that the Bewitched, I enjoy Bewitched and I enjoy Dick Van Dyke Show as, comedic pieces, but the Brady Bunch 70s was never my, so playing off those kind of jokes wasn't my favorite part. I love that they, not my favorite of the 3, but I think that it set up a lot. I think Jack called it last week, and I think Joe, you maybe as well, saying I think that we're going to get a wider view of the weird stuff that's going on. And I think the Monica Rambeau being booted from the dome at the end and all that part back and forth between them was kind of what I like about the show. It's every time the show does a weird turn and things get funky and like spooky is why I'm watching the show, really, is like, how do you take this thing that's so goody two shoes in a way and then make it creepy? And I find that great. And so the fact that Wanda had twins, I was very excited about, because I was like, oh, one, they're doing that. And there was like, nope, there's a second. And I was like, I knew there'd be a second one. So I'm excited to see it's Speed and who's the other one? Wiccan? Yeah, Speed and Wiccan. So they're named correctly and everything. When they were arguing about the names, I should have caught that initially, that it's literally the 2 names of the 2 characters that are twins. And the weird, like, talking back and forth of the tertiary characters, of them kind of like, him kind of losing it and drilling into the block, wall, and just them kind of talking back and forth, and Vision really figuring things out, but then getting reset by Wanda. So I'm kind of still, obviously someone's doing something to Wanda, but also Wanda wants to be in this dream world because she's still probably devastated about Vision's death. And I read a rumor too that maybe she had twins and she lost them as well. And so this is her recreating that moment, like, we don't know what happened in those 3 years when they were together and stuff like that. It's kind of a silly rumor, honestly, comparatively, but anyway, I thought it was good. I'm excited about tomorrow's episode.
Jack?
It was weird. As Taylor said, it got very weird. And we're learning a little bit more about the fact that when Monica was tossed out and she landed in the real world, so it doesn't look like they're out in space somewhere or abducted by aliens. It's just kind of weird. And with the neighbors, is it sort of like the Truman Show, maybe?
Yeah, I felt a lot like that.
And I don't know where it's going, but I just find it kind of funny how she's getting very used to creating things. Like, we've seen her, with the sort of telekinesis powers in the movies, but outright creating things we hadn't seen, and that seems to be becoming easier and easier for her to do. So maybe it's a sign that her powers are growing, and eventually, they're growing to the point that when she falls, she just loses it, and then we have that no more mutants kind of moment. So once again, it's building. It's just weird. Like, even the point when the stork was appearing, and she's trying to make it disappear, and it still keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Like, she's doing this, but she doesn't have complete control on it. So we have to see what happens. But the twins are kind of weird. I'm curious how that's going to work out with things.
To your point, Jack, I wasn't thinking about that, but this is a really good way for them to transition, because Scarlet Witch, you're right, before this, she was very much blasty powers with my hands kind of, and now they're making her like the actual witch, kind of like she's like transitioning to more magic than energy.
Right. And that happened when she the Fantastic Four's nanny, Agatha Harkness, was her mentor and sort of made her learn how to use her manipulating powers like witchcraft.
Her neighbor is Agatha Harkness. Like, I'm pretty sure that's who that's supposed to be.
Is it? Because Agatha Harkness was like 100 years old.
I know, but I think that they're
right up
making...
Joe's alley.
I think that they're making... I think that that's who... gosh, what's her name? I always get scared when I search these things because... spoilers
I've seen her like before and stuff.
She's from SNL and all sorts of stuff.
She's been on lots of things.
Catherine Hahn. I'm pretty sure that Catherine Hahn is Agatha Harkness.
Well, for me, it still sucks. I would still give this a 0. Nothing has changed in my mind. I mean, I guess the whole Monica Rambeau thing started to pique my interest a little bit, but like I said before, it reminds me of what I complained about with Batman v Superman and with Justice League, specifically Justice League, that they gave us Steppenwolf instead of giving us Darkseid. Don't start off with a crappy character with your first movie, because you might not get a second chance for an actual sequel to this where you bring him in. Give us your big guns. And right now they're starting off so slow with these first 3 episodes that I don't think that a lot of people are sticking around to see what happened. I mean, a lot of the diehard Marvel fans are, but I think that, people that have become interested in Marvel because of the movies and they watch this, they're like, wow, this is weird. It's like, this is something I'm not interested in. This is not the MCU. And to me, it's a failure. I don't care how many people are saying, and that's another thing. I'll go on YouTube and I'll just see like the headlines. It's like, this last episode of WandaVision was incredible. It was the best one ever. And I'm like, are you getting paid by Disney? Are they basically paying you to say that stuff so that, they give you some perks or something like that? Because I just don't see it. I don't know how anyone could say that this show is incredible.
I think it's incredible.
I think it's just a failure on so many different means. I think they could have done something better. And I think it's a case too where what Marvel thinks, again, that they can stamp anything with Marvel on it and people are going to fall in love with it. I don't think that's the case.
I don't think that. I think this is just a very different thing Marvel is experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
This is them doing the slow burn, for lack of a better
It is
term.
a very slow burn.
Well, and I think that
building things up very slowly rather than jumping right in. And this might be the formula they're going to start to use as they focus more on TV. Like, let it build, let people find it out, because myself and probably Taylor too, I love the mystery aspect of what is happening. I'm looking for clues the entire show. And that's the fun of it for me right now, trying to figure out what's going on. And I hope it builds up to something good. And then
So
I'll be on Joe's camp, like, we hate Wanda. She's terrible. Ooh.
No, well, like I said last time, if this was a movie, it might be different. Like
But Joe,
you couldn't walk out of the theater, well, I guess you can, but where you're actually watching a 2-hour movie, it's weird in the first hour and you're like, I don't like this. And then all of a sudden something great happens in the second hour. But
You know what? This analogy just hit me. Did you like Jessica Jones on Netflix?
no, I didn't.
Okay. Did you like Daredevil?
I liked parts of it, but it just was, like I said, it was too daunting, all the episodes being released at once for me.
This is that kind of model. There were things that it would continually build and build.
Mm-hmm.
And once it started rolling, it was like
rolling.
a
You
boulder.
couldn't stop watching.
Yeah. So I bet this is the same type of approach they're bringing, that things that happened at the beginning episodes are just going to continue falling in place until it breaks.
Also, if anyone is ever going to do something where, so regular TV matters because they're trying to get advertising dollars from commercials. The reason why you want to hook someone in the first episode is so they come back every episode and you get your advertising dollars paid for. Disney Plus doesn't need that. They've already paid for this. They've already cut it into 6 pieces or whatever they're doing. So they're just putting this out and saying, like, this is a story we believe in, and this is how we think you should watch it. And if you stick through, we have confidence as Disney that you're going to like it. And, you might not, right? But Jack is super right that the beginning of almost all of those Marvel Netflix series were like, he didn't even get the suit to the last episode of season 1. If you think about it, I know, Joe, you didn't like that. You were like, why wasn't he in suit the whole time? But season 2 then was set up to be like just action packed all the time. It was awesome. But Jessica Jones, once I feel like the turn with her and the Purple Man doesn't even show up for like 4 episodes, and you just get whispers of him or like clip, you don't really know. And then she's palling around with the Purple Man, which was some of my favorite episodes. Those middle episodes where like he's convinced to help her and the good guy and the bad guy team up. Great. But it's 6 episodes into 13 episodes or whatever. Like that's a long time, especially because they're hour-long episodes. So I have to say that, you're saying that Disney is doing it wrong, but I think that if you're ever going to do it, they have the exact right kind of platform to do this on, because people aren't going to cancel their Disney Plus because they don't like WandaVision. They've got plenty of other things to watch. So they have the time and they have the platform that they own, that they don't need to worry about advertising or anything else to do this slow burn story.
Well, let me make a counterpoint to that. All right. Say I'm going to go the opposite of what you said. So WandaVision comes out, and then a lot of original series that have already come out in Disney Plus that a lot of people think suck. They're like, why am I paying for Disney Plus? When all their original series that they're giving me suck. I'm going back to Netflix, or at least their series are a little better. That's what could happen. It doesn't
then guess what, Joe? Mandalorian season 3 comes out, or 2 or whatever, and
but then
you're back.
And if you want to watch
you
Star
subscribe
Wars
for a couple of months.
Commercials.
Yeah, you got all your Star Wars, all your Marvel, all your
us.
Disney movies. Lots of people,
Yeah, but they can also buy that stuff too if they want to.
It's more than $6 a month, to tell you that. Unfortunately for me, I already own most of it, so I'm kind of like,
yeah, but after a couple of years, that'll all add up and it'll be beyond $6 a month, for all the Star Wars movies.
But I think that they're betting on WandaVision is a very specific audience. And maybe you're saying like it's not going to increase their audience share to the person that isn't super into this stuff. Probably not. And you're right. I did see a lot of my friends that aren't deep into this stuff be very confused. I got a lot of texts. I saw a lot of Facebook posts being like, what is this? And then I'm going like, well, didn't you see Monica Rambeau and all these other things that were in there? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, well, it's there if you want it. Yeah. I'm like, oh, well, you remember in Captain Marvel, the little girl, well, she grows up and then she becomes, and then that's this character. It's like, how do you know that? Well, I guess behind the scenes stuff.
Well, they ruined that character in Captain Marvel. She shouldn't have been a little girl.
No, they should have been, because they aged her so that
she's old enough to be
with the other characters.
No, but she came before Captain Marvel. What's her name? What's Brie Larson's character? Carol Danvers.
Mm-hmm.
She became, Monica Rambeau she was in the 70s, Jack, wasn't she? Or the 80s?
She came out in the 80s.
Yeah, and then Carol Danvers came out in the 2000s.
Right, but Monica Rambeau as Captain Marvel has like nothing to do with Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel. So her being introduced in Captain Marvel and growing up to where she's now in her 20s, that kind of works.
I don't know.
Remember, they've got to get a whole new crop of people. And if they bring Monica Rambeau back as Photon, I think she's going by now in the comics. She's a pretty cool superhero. Again, a lesser known character, but she's pretty cool. And she could fill in one of those team slots if they do another ensemble picture.
Well, if Disney Plus wants to give her own series, just give her a cool costume, I'll be on board, you know? Because again, she was, after Marvel, she was Captain Marvel, right? Am I right with that one?
No, Carol Danvers took over. She was around for a while as Miss Marvel for years.
How could that be?
She was around. Monica Rambeau showed up in like the mid 80s or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wasn't Monica Rambeau's Captain Marvel? She was in between Captain Marvel and Carol Danvers, right?
Well, yeah, Monica Rambeau is the second Captain Marvel.
Thank you.
Created by Roger Stern and John Romita Jr. She
right,
first
but that's
appeared in Amazing Spider-Man.
Carol Danvers was going as Miss Marvel.
Right. So in between, yeah, that probably makes sense. I haven't gotten there yet, but
all right, whatever. Anyway, let's hope this thing gets better. I'm not very optimistic. I think they're saving the best for the very last episode, because I think tonight's episode is going to be Married with Children. I just don't like how they're doing it. But hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully it'll make me have a better appreciation for it, like you guys, but we'll see.
Now, I wonder if the kids are going to grow at an accelerated rate.
I hope so.
So that if when they hit Married with Children, Tommy and Billy are already...
But why wouldn't they do that with the Brady Bunch, though? Because the Brady Bunch is basically all about kids.
Yeah, but 2 Kids is Married with Children.
Yeah.
Right, so they'll grow into the role.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd love it.
We only have another week or so to find out.
I know. All right, moving on. So this is our main topic. This is characters we would like to see fight each other. So I kind of asked you guys to come up with some characters. Let me hear what you guys have to say. We'll go with Jack first.
I would love, and this is, sorry if this is cheating, I would love to see a Justice League Avengers crossover where we get to see the big fights that we want to see, but even if they did it in episodes somehow, like I would love to see the Hulk or Thor take on Superman, and not for like a 2 or 3 page battle. I mean, like, let's have a good knockdown, drag out fight like Man of Steel.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Batman and Captain America, you know, who's the better martial art? Just settle things down. You know, well, not settle down, turn them up, but just to see those kind of fights. I would love that as a series. I would probably even buy HBO Max for it. But a lot of those fights that I would love to see come out of that crossover. Like, can you just imagine a movie of, you know, Hawkeye and Green Arrow?
Man, that was my whole thing. I just want to see Hawkeye versus Green Arrow.
With the Black Canary as the referee in between them, which is what it seems she was in the crossover. That would be a hysterical episode. You know, once again, Monica Rambeau versus Green Lantern, because she is a master and energy manipulator, and that's what his ring runs on. And these could be really good matchups. Or even do a Wonder Woman versus Thor, since they're both magic based, or Thor versus Shazam. like these could be these are like some classic comic book battles that they're just screaming to be made if we're going to start converting more and more into the movies.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
So I'd love to see that. MCU wise, when they introduce the FF, I hope they have them run against the Hulk, because I'd love to see like a Hulk Thor fight.
Yeah,
on screen. That I would love.
I didn't think about that.
Heaven for me.
I remember that, but that would actually be pretty cool. All right, let's get to Tail. Let him get a few in there.
Really, all I wanted was Hawkeye versus Green Arrow. I didn't even know that had already been done. I just think that would be awesome.
But we're talking about movies. Like, can you think about any movies that?
Yeah, I want to see Sue Storm and Violet from Incredibles. But adult Violet, like later, when she's like super mastered her powers.
That's interesting, though. I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily want to see them fight each other, but it'd be interesting if they mentored each other. You know, like if the Fantastic Four mentored the Incredibles in a movie.
Because I mean, you got all the characters there. Yeah, just have them fight. Incredibles versus Fantastic Four.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I didn't even think about that one.
Or Doc Doom versus Doctor Strange.
Ooh.
Science versus magic, and then Doom flips it into magic on magic. That would be a cool fight.
So I got a lot of Hulk. I got Hulk versus Wolverine. I think we're eventually going to get that at some point. I think Mark Ruffalo has talked about that, and I can't see them not doing that at some point.
You see, that's a tough call though, because Wolverine, by the nature of being Wolverine, cutting out chunks of the Hulk, like he did in the issue you showed off last week.
But they don't have to show that, though.
Well, that's what people want to see versus.
But you've seen Wolverine in the movies, like stick his blades into characters and everything, and you don't gasp or anything like that.
But that's
what about
when a sustained fight? That's him running into the kitchen and seeing a soldier, it goes pop, and that's it. If he was fighting the Hulk, he would be having to slash continually, fighting, getting punched into orbit, coming down, then fighting again, getting kicked to Europe, taking a plane back, coming after the Hulk again,
That's comedy though. If he gets kicked across, like,
that didn't
the ocean,
happen, did it?
And if he has to, but like, I love the idea of like the Hulk just like backhanding him across the plane, and then it's just him healing, like with like scars and stuff, drinking something on an airplane on the way back. That's good. That's good comedy. I'd like to see that.
I think that this is a way to bring back Hugh Jackman too, because this could have happened sometime in between, Logan and the X-Men movies or something like that, where he went up.
Hugh Jackman keeps getting older.
Yeah, but
he still looks good.
The Hulk
he still looks great.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as they have the Hulk eat Logan, then he can burst out from his stomach and end the whole thing.
Well, yeah, I would be worried about Mark Ruffalo eating Logan.
Okay, next up, Joe. Who you got?
I was going to say, well, you said the Hulk versus the Thing. Yeah, that's my favorite comic book, and I think you've had it too, is when they're in Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah.
And they're in the boxing ring. I think they were fighting underneath it, or they landed in the ring.
They're fighting on top of it, in the ring, under it.
But the cover has them in the ring, and it's a pretty cool cover. World War Hulk. I would like to see the Hulk take on the MCU. They could have done that when he got after Ultron, when he went into space, and they continued Planet Hulk, but they did the whole Ragnarok stuff and they combined it. Kind of like what they did with Batman v Superman. We didn't get the thing that we really wanted to see. It was decent though, but I would have rather seen like a World War Hulk.
But it'd be great. I mean, speaking World War Hulk, they did World War Hulk versus the X-Men, and he took on all of the X-Men teams on his way trying to get to Professor X.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Talk about like 3 issues of non-stop action. That is a great miniseries to pick up if you see it on sale.
Oh yeah, that sounds really good. Was he
And
able?
it was drawn beautifully. Andrea, I can't remember the last name, drew it, and phenomenal art, beautiful art.
Was Professor X able to get into the Hulk's mind?
Well, Professor X spends the time willing to give himself up to the Hulk because he knows like all these students and he's trained are like kids to him. And he knows what's going to happen when the Hulk starts ripping through them. And the Hulk is brutal on it. They have a guy who is sort of like a thing made of living rock. And he's the strong man on the X team he's on. And the Hulk just breaks him into bricks, you know? And, you know, the guy's like, why did you do that? The head is like, what did you do that for? You know? And the Hulk is just like, next. And the way the Hulk takes out Wolverine is very interesting. It's a different take on it, where a smart Hulk would handle somebody with an unbreakable skeleton.
Oh, so he's a smart Hulk in this one.
He's like an angry Banner. He's not Hulk smash, but he's.
Well, is this Mortal Hulk?
No, this isn't the Immortal Hulk. This is the World War Hulk.
Oh, okay.
That it's like him and Banner are merged, but on Planet Hulk, he had to just stay in that angry survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of blend somehow into a different persona. It's a good storyline, but the best part of it was the side series against the X-Men. Who you got next, Joe?
I was going to mention the Avengers. I think we have said this before. Avengers versus Defenders, Avengers versus the FF, or Avengers versus the X-Men. I would see any of those movies multiple times. That would get me back to theaters.
You'll go back to the theaters once they open.
Oh yeah, no, I will. Once I get my shot, I'm going back. But no, again, I want to see like the original Defenders, you know, like Namor, Doctor Strange, Silver Surfer, the Hulk.
Oof, that'd be a tough team to beat.
That is pound for pound. That's a tough
just
team.
Like we've had times where we've talked about Doctor Strange beating everybody, let alone him being on a team with the Hulk. Silver Surfer also beat everybody in a different one of our our brackets. So I don't think the Avengers could beat the
I
Defenders.
think that, you know, the Benedict Cumberbatch Doctor Strange would be a little different, you know, since he had kind of a relationship with the Avengers, like in Infinity War and in Endgame and stuff like that. I don't think he would be as aggressive as the one that we see in the comics. You know, he would know to hold back like Superman does when he fights.
But the Hulk might not.
The Hulk might not, yeah, but him and Thor have gone at it.
How about Silver Surfer? He's just going to come in and wipe the slate clean with everybody.
Yes. Anyway, I'd like to see
I would probably say the Defenders would give even the Justice League a tough time.
That team of the Defenders, I agree. It's one of the few Marvel teams that I could say that the Justice League would actually have trouble with.
Would have real trouble with, because after you take out a Superman and Wonder Woman, I don't know how any of them could cope with who's left. Because the Flash, the Silver Surfer can travel at light speed at the drop of a hat.
Well, the Flash can move faster than light speed.
Right. But I mean, that would be like a boom, boom, sort of thing that, and then let's face it, you have Namor who's throw some water on him. Well, Neymar and Aquaman probably would be a good fight if they did it the right way.
That'd be a cool fight too. I was thinking about that when we were talking about it.
Yeah, because Aquaman is a lot more reserved, and Namor is just like a lunatic right now in the comics. He's just nuts.
But I just know back in the day, the Defenders, I love them because they were really the dark Avengers, you know? Like they were the boys. like the
Well, they were never
HBO.
that bad.
But but they were just like,
Hello, Valkyrie. How are you? Welcome to the team.
well, maybe not that way, but you know what I'm saying is that they were nasty, like where the Avengers were kind of like goody two shoes.
Mm-hmm.
The Defenders were just tough. They just didn't give a damn and stuff like that. I'd like to see a real Civil War movie, but an animated one. Let's see. I hope after What If, I hope it works well, that Disney focuses more on animated movies, because we haven't seen. I can't think of the last time we've seen a Marvel animated movie.
No, that's right. That's right up. Once they went live action, that'll.
Well, also because they weren't nearly as good as the DC ones. I mean,
yeah, but part of that, well, their animation wasn't bad, but
I like some of those. I
yeah,
like the take they took on the Doctor Strange one, and
yeah,
the first Ultimates was pretty good. Ultimate Avengers.
That was good too. And I liked was it the Young Avengers or the Next Avengers, that they're kids.
Oh, I don't think I saw.
Yeah, that was cool. The animated one was cute. I watched that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Captain America and Black Widow had, a son, and and I think the Hulk was the villain in that one. It was pretty cool. I'd like to see Darth Maul versus Darth Vader. Somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how that could happen, but
I mean, then Darth Vader. I don't know. I think
at
Darth
some
Maul
point
would
they were
win.
both alive, right?
I mean, Darth Vader would win because Darth Maul was taken out by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, you could take it that way. Who beat who?
But Obi-Wan Kenobi also took Anakin, when he was Darth Vader.
Right. Oh, I guess you're
out.
saying that, like, in that case, Anakin is not as powerful, especially because Darth Vader, they've said that losing all those limbs lost his midichlorian count, which I know is a dumb thing to say out loud.
I never heard that, but
yeah,
that's ridiculous.
So he's not as powerful. No, because it was in his own. Basically, he was talking about. It was in the novelization of Revenge of the Sith that he wasn't nearly as powerful as he was before. Once he was just ripped apart in mostly machine.
They alluded to that in the expanded universe as well. That at one point they said something like Darth Vader truly wasn't a Sith because so much of him was machine versus human that he lost some of that connection to the Force.
Right, and he's not as Force powerful, which is kind of crazy of how Force powerful he is. But as Anakin Skywalker, he was much more Force powerful than he is as Darth Vader.
Which is why the Emperor wanted Luke, because, aside from the hand, Luke was mostly human.
Mostly midichlorian,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's stop with this.
Yeah.
He's got so many. Once he was spilling midichlorians out when he got the arm cut off. It was the good thing they cauterized it to keep some of those in, with that lava.
You got any, Taylor?
I gave you guys all the ones I want.
All right.
Those.
Jack, do you have any more?
Oh my God. I would love to see a Spider-Man movie where the Green Goblin and the Hobgoblin are going at it, and Spider-Man's in the middle trying to keep collateral damage down. I think that would be wild. Because the Hobgoblin is one of my favorite Spider-Man villains. I like him more than the Green Goblin, but let's face it, the whole Norman Osborn thing is overshadowed the Hobgoblin completely.
I've got one. Deathstroke versus Taskmaster.
Okay.
That would be good.
So
that's a good one.
Yeah. Well, that would. I think that might come down to the issue like we have Batman versus Deathstroke. Because even though Taskmaster can replicate any move, he may be able to replicate Deathstroke's moves, but that doesn't give him Deathstroke's speed or strength.
Right. So it'd be a good fight.
It could be a good fight, yeah. I think Deathstroke would eventually take him.
But Taskmaster's beaten everyone but Deadpool, I think, in the MCU, like at one point or another. Like he's beaten Captain America and he can't match Captain America's strength, So And Spider-Man, I think, I don't know if he's ever gone toe-to-toe with Spider-Man. That would seem crazy if he could ever beat Spider-Man, but he does, he does like the swing and he can do all the moves and stuff. So he'd definitely be formidable.
They have a funny issue where Spider-Man did take him out.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, Spider-Man thought Taskmaster kidnapped Mary Jane, and Spider-Man basically trashes the Taskmaster's school. So Spider-Man's fighting and wrecking stuff. Taskmaster, you know how much that workout?
I did read that episode, yeah, or I read that comic. It's good.
And I have no idea who Mary Ann is. Not Mary Ann, Mary Jane, like, Mary whoever. I have no idea. Stop wrecking my place.
That was kind of like Spider-Man does the same thing. Deadpool. There's Spider-Man when the Spider-Man Deadpool issues were out. He thinks that Deadpool is killing people, but it was like this monkey that was murdering people, like an actual monkey. And so when he finds Deadpool, he's like, "I should kill you." And he's like,
weird.
Deadpool's like, "No, I swear to God, it's this monkey with guns. Like I saw him. It was a monkey with guns." And he's like, "Stop messing around, Wade." And he's like, "No, I promise. It was a monkey with guns. Stop hurting me." It's pretty great.
My problem with Taskmaster is, say, Dr. Doom is on top, Green Goblin, Taskmaster. That's where I see him. He is like the lower tier villains that I'd like to see on the screen, even though we might see him we will see him in Black Widow if that ever comes out. I just don't think he's a big deal for me anyway. He's not popular.
He's very cool, though. He's so cool in the comics.
But I just think that it would be nice to see his popularity grow.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about wish list, though, like
yeah.
I want to see him fight Deathstroke is what I want. So,
I was gonna say Superman versus Spider-Man, because that was my first crossover, that comic book when they're on top of the Empire State Building.
Yeah, but they'd have to use that same hokey. Lex Luthor shoots him with the yellow,
maybe
red sun ray gun, something weird.
Yeah. They did 2 comics though, and I have both of them. One of them had it was Dr. Doom, and I think might have been Lex. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, the Parasite. Yeah, so it was Lex Luthor and Doc Ock was the first one,
right?
And then Parasite and Dr. Doom was the second one. And they weren't the best comics, but they're both iconic characters. Like they're both like the poster boys for DC and Marvel. It would be great to see them go at it on the big screen.
But that was if you're going to look at a comic book that captures all the spirit of comics in the 1970s, that was it. I mean, it was hokey as heck. It was goofy. It was fun. That's like the 70s comic. If you want to capture one book, that first Superman versus Spider-Man, that's it.
Yeah, and that was like Batman v Superman, where it was like they had maybe 6 panels of them fighting, and then they're like, "Let's be friends." I know you're not the real bad guy.
They had some great ones, like this big splash. Remember that one where Superman's like, "Spider-Man, aren't you?" He's like, "Don't, I don't want to hurt you." And Spider-Man's like, "Don't worry about it," and like clocks him. And you see Superman like getting laid out. That was, like I said, that was as fun as you could get on the 70s.
And I think Spider-Man broke his knuckles.
Later on, because once the strength ray wears off, Spider-Man's hitting Superman, and Superman's just standing there, and all of a sudden, like Spider-Man's like breaking his hands, and he's like, "Okay, have you had enough yet?" And Superman's just like shaking his head. And
I think it was like a red sun ray, but it was like, why did you use it on you? It's like, why do you got to use it on Spider-Man if you could use something like that?
It was a goofy book.
So last one I was going to mention, I'd like to see James Bond versus Ethan Hunt from Mission Impossible.
James Bond would win. Come on.
I don't know. It still might be fun.
You know what? Yeah, because Ethan Hunt has a team behind him.
Yeah, they're both
be fun.
Good at hand-to-hand combat, and it'd be pretty interesting. All right, let's
You want
get
to see that move again where he's stretching out before they start the fight in the bathroom.
Oh no, that was
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
reloading his arms.
I hated that movie. I just couldn't wait for that movie to end. I was so bored, and I love the Mission Impossible movies. And
I don't know, I liked it.
I know a lot of people like it. I probably need to try and watch it again, but it like the Phantom Menace. Maybe I'll like it after the 5th time. All right, let's get to listener email, and then we'll wrap this one up. So Dan actually emailed me, and he asked me this a couple of weeks ago after Wonder Woman 1984 came out. He says, "Can you suggest any good Wonder Woman comics that he could read?" And I actually got one. I'll show you it. This is my favorite Wonder Woman comic. It's called The Contest. Could you guys see that?
Oh, that's a good one. Yes.
I love this one. And if you guys don't have it, pick it up. It is a trade paperback. It's basically, Wonder Woman goes back to Paradise Island. Her mother's pissed off at her for some reason, and she strips her of her Wonder Woman duties, so she's no longer Wonder Woman. So they basically have another contest to decide who they're going to send over to the United States to represent Themyscira as Wonder Woman. And Artemis wins. And Artemis in the comics, she is kick-ass. She's this one, and she's got red hair and the ponytail. She's much more brutal than Wonder Woman ever was. And I loved her as Wonder Woman. Even though it was short-lived, she was a great Wonder Woman. And I would love to see that in the movies. I think that would be a great Wonder Woman 3 if they ever decided to do something like that. Yeah. But they won't. They won't do it.
You know what? That if you're going to go out on a whole big action thing, I think maybe, that would be pretty good.
Yeah, because again, they both go back to America, and Artemis is the new Wonder Woman, and again, she's kind of like
Azarello.
What happened. Yeah, what Azarello did with Batman, too aggressive.
Well,
and,
she's an Amazon warrior.
Yeah.
She's, Wonder Woman uses a lasso, Artemis uses her bow and arrow. And she's just picking people off, They're like, no, maybe you shouldn't shoot people in the head. That, what we have courts for and stuff.
Diana was a kinder, gentler Wonder Woman, as George Bush used to say. So I think that would be great. And she got a new costume, which I wasn't crazy about. It was like black pants. I think she had a black jacket.
80s clothes.
Yeah, I didn't like it.
I will say one thing about that though, because that was also on my list, Joe, and I pulled it off the shelf. Mike Donato did the art on that. And it is so nice to see his artwork the way it used to be. It's worth going back and looking at, because every time he draws a book now, it is inked so heavily with black. Everything looks so murky. And it's gotten, when he did Wonder Woman, it was nice and clean. Then he did Dark Avengers and started getting darker, with just thicker black lines. Now he did a couple of things for Marvel. He did
but is that his fault or the inker's fault?
No, I think it's both of them. I think it's his style has just gone very dark, and the panel layout is also weird. Like he usually makes some sort of geometric design in the background, and then instead of having the panels, next to each other, it's kind of dispersed all over. But everything looks so murky by him now.
Yeah, look at that.
But back in the day, man, he drew some nice looking Wonder Women.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit like Jim Lee, I would say. I mean, close.
I actually prefer him to Jim Lee back in his earlier stuff.
What else did he do other than Wonder Woman? Could you remember?
He had a stretch on Thor. He did a couple of Marvel events. The last big event he did was the one where Nick Fury killed the Watcher. and it was kind of a mystery trying to figure out who it was, but he was kind of helping them solve it while screwing them up in the meantime to keep them from labeling them. What was the name of it? Oh, I can't remember the name of it. But he's done stretches on series, and he's done a lot of the cosmic stuff for Marvel lately, like Guardians of the Galaxy, and some of their space events. But yeah, he did Thanos, I believe, that short-lived series. So he's working, but like I said, I like his old stuff where it's just everything just looks a lot cleaner and brighter.
I'm impressed that you knew that he did that. You know, that he was the artist for the contest.
I tell you, Joe, I'm a fountain of useless information.
You are. I used to think it was just Marvel, but it goes beyond into DC too. So.
Well, Taylor's the guy who knows more about, all that stuff than me.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe the goings on, but I think that as far as artists and stuff, especially for some of those, not as I know, I feel like I'm like that with more of the recent stuff because I've been catching, I've been keeping up. It's different, but thank you.
Yeah. Taylor, do you have anything?
Yeah, I got two. I really liked the direction that the New 52, and I can't remember if it got good or bad because I don't think I stayed up with it. The New 52 Wonder Woman by Brian Azarello was great because it was Wonder Woman fighting like Greek mythology stuff. And so it was cool to see, and the art style was really neat in these like these bold outlines and just very much, I don't know, just seeing Wonder Woman fighting different mythological creatures and, going after Greek gods and like Ares and stuff like that was really cool to see after, you're usually seeing her do regular superhero stuff. To see it kind of go deep in Greek mythology was really cool. So that run, the Brian Azarello New 52 Wonder Woman run, was really fun. I would recommend that. And then currently I'm reading, it's called, I brought it up, it's Wonder Woman Dead Earth. I feel like I mentioned it maybe on a couple episodes back, but it's Wonder Woman in a post-apocalyptic universe. She wakes up, doesn't remember who she is, and has to like basically Mad Max her way through a bunch of stuff in a really cool,
that's cool.
like gladiator
really
style thing. And it's the new Black label. So they have all these, it's almost like the Marvel Max label back in the day. They're doing that with DC, and a bunch of different artists are getting, and writers are getting a chance. Like that's what they did with the 3 Jokers, which I do recommend. I know this is a Marvel podcast, but if you are a fan of Batman and like, have at least a bit of history on it, it's a very cool way of showing that the Joker's been different people kind of this whole time, and like who's the original Joker. And there's 3 different Jokers. There's the clown, the mastermind, I think, or like and then the maniac, or like the psycho, I guess, or like the 3, I think, something like that. And it's like how like each one of them, like one of them did Jason Todd, one of them did, like shot
3 different people.
Yeah, there are 3 different Jokers, and there's a Joker that makes new Jokers, basically.
I don't like that.
It was really cool and well done the way they did it, and they're all like conspiring together.
Is that canon?
Yes, I think so. Yeah,
it is. It's not like an Elseworlds thing, or
no. I mean, it's its own story, but they were alluding to it like basically the Joker that is in. It's almost like it's trying to explain Heath Ledger Joker compared to, goofy kind of like 70s
Romero.
Joker. Yeah, not quite as goofy, but yeah, like the clown, he's like a goof, but and then like he shoots people with, the acid in the that's a different, because it feels different, right? When you look at that character compared to the Heath Ledger more collected, thinking things through, but evil, and then the kind of more psycho Joker, like kind of like the stuff that's in the newer where he's tearing his face off, and like, he's Nicolas Caging his face, takes his face.
I didn't like that
off. Right. But it's it was probably one of the best Batman things I've read in a long time, because it really did go deep into, because it had to be, Batman had to team up with Red Hood and Batgirl, who had all 3 been basically hurt by the Joker the most in different ways, to figure out, because they're like, wait, how could Joker have been here and here at the same time? And I know this was Joker's MO. Like, it's like, it's those people that know him the best saying like, I know this was Joker, it wasn't a copycat. It was Joker. So, this was Joker.
So they were alive at the same time too?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really cool. It's really great. I highly recommend reading it. And it's Jeff Johns wrote it, and a couple other, of the good DC writers out there. So it was.
But how did they?
You have to read the book. I promise. It's very good.
It makes sense that Batman.
I was
super smart Batman would
satisfied.
say that's not you.
Exactly. That's how they're so the same. You have to read it. It was some of the panels in that were some of the coolest things. I'll send you guys some pictures afterwards, but very cool. It was, I bought it out of curiosity because again, I'm like you guys, I'm like 3 Jokers, come on. But it was, I know this is.
You can do your magic on this podcast too.
Oh, you mean you want me to put some panels in here?
Yeah, your video.
Like right now?
Yeah, like right now.
Okay. And then maybe like right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I could do that.
All of a sudden, it comes across. It comes.
Yeah, you liked that, huh? Yeah, I had fun with that when Jack's like, it'd be cool in post-production if we could do this. And I was sitting there while we were recording being like, I guess I'm going to put in these things in here.
Oh, man. All right, let's wrap this one up. So, Jack, can you tell everyone where they can find you?
You can send me an email anytime at jackm@wdwnt.com.
And Taylor?
It should be right here on screen.
Man, you made me put it on your face. It's terrible, terrible. You can find me at TCatch on Twitter. It's TK4 at TK4TCH. And you can also email me at taylor@wdwnt.com.
Yeah, and you can email me at joe@wdwnt.com, or you can send me a friend request on Facebook. Also, if you like our show and enjoy other WDWNT podcasts and would like to become a Patreon supporter, please visit WDWNT's Patreon page at www.patreon.com/WDWNT. And
if you
check
call
out
now, you'll receive a 3M Scotch tape.
You will not.
And check out Walt Disney World News Today, as well as Universal Parks News Today for all your Disney and Universal news. And please visit the Carousel of Products, where there is a ton of fun WDWNT merchandise on sale. And finally, please subscribe to the WDWNT Entertainment channel, where you can find Nerd Alert and other WDWNT original programming available there. And with that, this will be the end of WDWNT Nerd Alert Season 7, Episode number 2. So until next time, see ya.
Good night. Be good to each other.
Bye.